Murdered me because she wanted the life I had built with the supposedly ordinary Moss family. When we were both reborn on adoption day, she rushed to steal my old choice and sent me to the powerful Morelands, certain their cold air would destroy me. I let her believe she had won. She remembered who became rich in our first life, but she never understood who had created that fortune, or what kind of man she had chosen. Mrs. Moreland's face tightened. Such a fickle child is unworthy of a Moreland name. Then her gaze softened as she turned to me. You seem like a good girl. Come with me. We have a son at home you'll like. I simply nodded and took her outstretched hand. A triumphant gleam flashed in Hazel's eyes. If she just won a great victory, but she had no idea. While everyone feared Alexander's eccentricities, I was far more terrified of Brad. A guy as cold and venomous as a snake. In my last life, I had spent years desperately trying to escape his grasp. This time, she had unknowingly done me the biggest favor imaginable. As Mrs. Moreland stepped outside to get the car, Hazel sidled up to me, her eyes full of contempt. Enjoy your new life, Carmen, he whispered. This time, you're the one who will suffer. I didn't even bother to reply. Her gloating was nothing more than a clown's performance. She thought she had secured a fresh start, but the joke was on her. She hadn't escaped a fire, she had just jumped headfirst into a hell far more brutal than she could ever imagine. After I arrived at the Moreland estate, Mrs. Moreland gave me a private suite and hired a small army of tutors for piano, dance, and etiquette. She was gentle but frank. Sweetheart, I'll be honest. I adopted a daughter to find a suitable match for my son. You must apply yourself. Alexander returns from abroad in a month. If he takes a liking to you, your future will be secure. Remember, the entire Morgan legacy will be his one day. I knew from my last life that Alexander had felt nothing but disdain for Hazel. And her time here had been miserable. I didn't dare hope the cold, aloof air would favor me either. I needed my own plan for survival. A month later, the Morelands held a grand ball to welcome Alexander home. The elite of Edinburgh were all there, including the Moss family. Due to their close business ties. Across the glittering ballroom, Hazel spotted me immediately. Dressed in a virginal white gown, she glided over, her smile as sharp as a knife. Enjoy the party, Carmen, she whispered. Tonight will be the most humiliating night of your life. I remembered this banquet well from my last life. It was when she had first met Alexander. He had taken one look at her, frowned, and disgusted, and told her to get lost in front of everyone. She had shamelessly clung to him, declaring herself his future wife. I kicked her away without a second thought. But I was reborn too. I knew how her story ended, and I had already charted a different course. Hazel was waiting for me to suffer the same humiliation she did. She was in for a surprise, but she was about to be disappointed. Just before Alexander was to make his grand entrance, I intercepted him in a private study. It was our first meeting. He stood a full head taller than me, his strikingly handsome face cold and unapproachable. Tisk, so he really wasn't easy to approach. I handed him a document. I know you've acquired a new project, but are unsure how to proceed. This is my proposal. I guarantee it will be profitable. I may have grown up in an orphanage with only a high school education, but I possessed a sharp business mind. In my last life, Brad Moss became a tycoon precisely because I was the strategist behind the scenes. How did you know about this project? He asked. He took the file and flipped through the pages. In my last life, that project had been Brad's. He treated me well then, so I gave him the plan that secured the deal. This time, without me helping him, it had fallen into Alexander's lap. I did my research, I said with a faint smile. Mr. Moreland, I can prepare proposals like this for you regularly. On one condition, in public, we play the part of a family. In private, we lead separate lives. Alexander was a businessman first. Profit was his ultimate motivator. If I could prove my usefulness, he would reassess my value. Just as I expected him to agree, he raised an eyebrow. I see you want to trade your cooperation for a safe harbor, then? His tone shifted, becoming almost teasing. Didn't my mother tell you? She didn't adopt a daughter, she was shopping for a daughter-in-law. I'm aware. So what's your point? Confused, a faint smile touched his lips as he closed the folder. This plan is excellent. Once you marry me, every idea you have will naturally belong to me anyway. With that, he turned and walked away. I stood frozen, his words echoing in my mind. What did he mean by that? Did he actually want to marry me? The thought was absurd. But Hazel was still waiting. In the ballroom for Alexander to humiliate me in public. No, that was impossible. He just wanted to secure a lifetime of free proposals. That had to be it. When I entered the grand hall, Mrs. Moreland immediately took my arm, proudly introducing me to the assembled elders. This is my future daughter-in-law, isn't she lovely? So gentle and well-mannered. A chorus of polite praise followed. From across the room, I felt Hazel's gaze burning into me. Standing beside Brad, her eyes were dark pools of resentment. Clutching her wine glass, she strode over and addressed Mrs. Moreland with false concern. Mrs. Moreland, Alexander has only just returned home. Has Carmen even met him? How can you be so sure he's agreed to this? He had already made a terrible impression at the orphanage. Now, hearing her audacious question, Mrs. Moreland's eyes flashed with fury. How dare you? The Moreland family's affairs are none of your concern. Who do you think you are? Brad's face paled. My apologies, Mrs. Moreland. Please forgive my sister. She speaks without thinking. But I saw it. The fleeting, dangerous shadow that crossed his eyes. I had seen that look countless times in my last life. It always signaled the beginning of a nightmare. A cold dread seized me. I instinctively stepped backward, only to stumble against a solid, warm chest. I turned, startled, and found myself looking up into Alexander's face. His arm steadied me. Careful, he murmured. A rare smile softened his typically cold eyes. And his voice was gentler than I thought possible. Hazel, standing right in front of us, looked like she was about to explode. She must have been screaming inside, wondering why he was treating me with such tenderness. Alexander, she blurted, do you really like Carmen? She's just an orphan, and she's impure. She was assaulted. Her words silenced the entire hall. She was referring to that night at the orphanage. A man had crept into my room while I slept. His hands tearing at my clothes, he tried to violate me, but I had fought back. I smashed a flower vase over his head. After the incident, Hazel had spread the vicious rumor far and wide, branding me as soiled goods. Even come to me, her eyes glittering with triumph. Carmen, care to guess who sent that man to your room? In that moment, the final piece clicked into place. The entire ordeal, the memory sent a fresh wave of anger through me. My fist clenching. I was about to retort, but Alexander spoke first. Is that a fact? His voice was dangerously quiet, his gaze locked on Hazel. Mistaking his tone for curiosity, she creamed, it's true. Carmen was defiled by some filthy old. She never finished the sentence. Without another word, Alexander's foot shot out, catching her squarely in the stomach and sending her crashing to the floor. A collective gasp rippled through the hall. All conversation ceased. Brad's face turned a sickly gray. Mr. Moreland, my deepest apologies. This is my failure. I have been too lax in disciplining my sister. Alexander's voice was pure ice. If I ever hear her slander my fiancé again, I'll make sure she can't stand another day in this city. In fact, your entire family can pack their bags and leave with her. I suggest you teach her some respect immediately. Brad, yes, sir. It will be done. He strode over and delivered 3 sharp, brutal strikes to Hazel's face. Left and right. Ah. Stop. It hurts. She wailed, her screams piercing the stunned silence. Mrs. Moreland's voice cut through the commotion, calm yet absolute. Let this be clear to everyone. This young woman is my daughter-in-law. My name is Carmen Bingley. If I hear of anyone mistreating her, I will return the favor tenfold. Feel better now? Alexander murmured, holding me close. It's exhilarating, I whispered, half laughing. Felt like clearing years of smoke from my lungs. Hazel's public spectacle had an unexpected benefit. It fast-tracked my relationship with Alexander overnight. Everyone knew I was the Morelands' chosen daughter-in-law. The respect they showed me was entirely new. As for Hazel, Brad had dragged her away, his face thunderous with humiliation. In my last life, he'd kept his vicious nature hidden much longer, but today's events had torn the mask off prematurely. I knew her nightmare was just beginning. And I wondered if she had the strength to survive it. For a while, she left me alone, giving me the precious time I needed to make money and plan my escape from this gilded cage. Rebirth had taught me one undeniable truth. The only person you can truly rely on is yourself. I was in the middle of my job search when Alexander contacted me. His text was straightforward, come work at my company. Starting salary $5,000 a month plus bonuses. I woke in a filthy restroom with the same man Hazel had once sent to assault me. This time, I had brought a knife. I cut my own arm, smeared the blood across my clothes, and waited for the door to open. Hazel arrived first, already performing for the people behind her. Mr. Moreland, please don't hurt Carmen. She's just lonely, that's why she's meeting a man in a place like this. Her plea died when she saw me standing, armed and covered in blood. Alexander was right behind her. Hazel had invited him to witness my disgrace. Hazel arrived first, already performing for the people behind her. Mr. Moreland, please don't hurt Carmen. She's just lonely, that's why she's meeting a man in a place like this. Her voice trembled perfectly. Then she saw me. I was standing beside the sink, my sleeve soaked with blood, a knife clutched in my trembling hand. Hazel stopped dead. For one beautiful second, the performance vanished from her face. Then she recovered. Carmen. She screamed and stumbled backward. Alexander appeared behind her. His eyes went straight to the blood. Then to the knife. Then to me. Carmen. His voice was low. I dropped the knife. It clattered across the tile. I didn't hurt anyone, I whispered. Hazel immediately rushed toward him. Alexander, I told you she was unstable. I begged her not to come here. She must have brought that man herself in. Who? Alexander's question stopped her. Hazel blinked. The man. You said Carmen was meeting a man. Yes. Where is he? She froze. I looked at her. He left through the back door. Alexander's expression hardened. Hazel swallowed. I didn't see him leave. That is strange, I said softly. You seemed very certain that I was meeting someone. Her face changed. I pulled out my phone. I started recording before Hazel entered. Hazel's mouth fell open. I pressed play. Her own voice filled the restroom. Mr. Moreland, please don't hurt Carmen. She's just lonely, that's why she's meeting a man in a place like this. Then another voice followed. Hazel's. Clear as day. She'll ruin everything if she stays with the Morelands. Once Alexander sees her like this, he'll throw her out himself. Alexander's jaw tightened. Hazel lunged for my phone. I stepped aside. You set me up. I didn't. You brought Alexander here. Her eyes darted toward him. You wanted him to see me covered in blood. I was worried about you. Then why did you tell the photographers outside to wait for the scandal? Hazel went white. Alexander turned toward the restroom entrance. 2 security guards were standing there. Behind them were several reporters. Hazel had arranged everything. She had expected to walk out with a headline about the Moreland family's adopted daughter being caught in a sordid affair. Instead, the cameras were now pointed at her. Alexander looked at her with open disgust. You planned this? Hazel's lips trembled. No. I swear, I only wanted to protect the family. You wanted to destroy Carmen. I hate her. The words burst out before she could stop herself. The restroom went quiet. Hazel covered her mouth. Too late. Alexander stared at her. You just admitted it. She began crying. I was supposed to be the one you chose. I looked at her calmly. So that's what this was about? Hazel's tears continued. She stole my life. I almost laughed. No, Hazel. You stole mine. Her expression twisted. You don't deserve any of this. I didn't ask for it. You took everything from me. I took nothing. I pointed toward Alexander. He made his own choice. Alexander stepped beside me. His hand settled around my waist. You're right, he said. Hazel looked at him desperately. Alexander, you don't understand. She was poor. She grew up in an orphanage. She doesn't belong in your world. He looked at me. Then back at Hazel. She's more capable than most people in this room. My heart skipped. He continued. She built the proposal that secured my largest acquisition this year. Hazel's face stiffened. I hadn't told anyone about the deal. Alexander had. He was deliberately giving me credit. Then he looked toward the security guards. Take her home. Hazel panicked. Alexander. And call the Moss family. She stopped. His expression became colder. Tell Brad Moss that if his family wants to remain in Edinburgh, they will publicly apologize to Carmen. Hazel's face crumbled. You can't do this. I can. He looked at me. And I will. The security guards escorted her away. The reporters followed, already buzzing with excitement. Within hours, the story had spread through every social circle in Edinburgh. Hazel Moss had attempted to frame the Moreland family's future daughter-in-law. The photographs she had arranged became evidence against her. Her carefully planned humiliation became her own scandal. But I wasn't celebrating yet. Because when we returned to the estate, Alexander walked straight into my room. He closed the door behind him. Then he placed a medical kit on the table. Sit. I obeyed. He crouched in front of me and carefully examined my arm. His brows drew together. You cut yourself deliberately. I looked away. I needed convincing evidence. That doesn't mean you should hurt yourself. I knew what I was doing. I know. He cleaned the wound with surprising gentleness. Then he looked up. You're reckless. I smiled. You're worried. You're worried. I am. The answer came so quickly that my smile disappeared. Alexander tied the bandage around my arm. You could have come to me. I didn't know if you'd believe me. His hand stopped. Carmen. He looked directly into my eyes. After the proposal you gave me, did you really think I'd choose Hazel's word over yours? I didn't know what to say. He stood. I've been investigating your work for weeks. My eyes widened. Investigating me? Your business instincts. Your proposals. The companies you've helped without taking credit. He leaned against the desk. You're extraordinary. My face warmed. Then he added casually. And you're terrible at pretending you don't care about me. I stared at him. What? His mouth curved. You look at me like I'm the answer to a question you've been afraid to ask. My heart began pounding. He stepped closer. I meant what I said at the ball. About marrying me? Yes. You barely know me. I know enough. He reached for my uninjured hand. I don't want your proposals. Then what do you want? You. I froze. Alexander's thumb brushed across my knuckles. I came home expecting to meet an adopted girl my mother wanted me to marry. His eyes softened. Instead, I found the woman who may become the greatest business partner I've ever had. He paused. And the woman I can't seem to stop thinking about. My carefully constructed survival plan suddenly felt much less safe. Because I had expected Alexander Moreland to become my shield. I hadn't expected him to become the one man I might actually want beside me. And somewhere across the city, Hazel was learning that being rejected by Alexander was only the beginning of her downfall. She had wanted my life. Now she was about to lose hers. The next morning, I woke to 23 missed calls. Every major gossip page in Edinburgh had published the same story. Moss heiress exposed for framing Moreland adopted daughter. There were photographs of Hazel being dragged from the restroom. There were recordings of her confession. And, most damaging of all, there were messages proving she had contacted reporters before the incident. She hadn't just tried to ruin me. She had documented her own downfall. I sat at the breakfast table scrolling through the chaos when Alexander dropped a folder beside my plate. What's this? Your new employment contract. I looked at him. You're still trying to hire me? No. He sat across from me. I'm appointing you. I opened the folder. Strategic Development Director, Moreland Holdings. My eyebrows shot up. This is absurd. Why? I don't have a university degree. I don't care. I've never officially worked for a major company. You've been doing the work without the title. I stared at the salary. Then stared again. Alexander, this is 5 times what you originally offered. I changed my mind. Why? He calmly buttered his toast. Because you're worth more. I tried not to smile. Unfortunately, Mrs. Moreland walked into the dining room at that exact moment. She took one look at us. Then smiled. Oh, excellent. You're getting along. We're discussing business, I said. Of course. She looked at Alexander. You're holding her hand. I looked down. He was. Neither of us had noticed. Alexander didn't let go. His mother smiled even wider. I'll leave you two alone. She walked out laughing. I lowered my voice. Your mother is terrifying. She likes you. She likes the idea of me marrying you. She likes you because I like you. My heart stumbled. Alexander simply returned to his breakfast as if he hadn't just dropped a bomb into my lap. Meanwhile, across Edinburgh, the Moss family was burning. Their investors were furious. 3 business partners suspended negotiations. A charity board removed Brad as a director. And the Moss family's private club membership was temporarily revoked. But Brad didn't care about any of that. He cared about Hazel. He stormed into her bedroom and threw a newspaper onto her bed. You ruined everything. Hazel looked up, swollen-eyed. I didn't know the recording existed. You didn't know because you were too arrogant to check. I thought Alexander hated Carmen. He did. Hazel stared at him. Then why did he choose her? Brad laughed bitterly. Because you gave him a reason. Hazel's face twisted. I only wanted what was mine. Brad grabbed her wrist. Nothing is yours. She stared at him. What? You've spent your entire life thinking everyone owes you something. His voice became frighteningly calm. You wanted Carmen's place. You wanted her family. You wanted Alexander. You wanted her reputation. He released her. And now you've destroyed the one thing we had. Hazel began crying. I can fix it. No. Brad turned toward the door. I'm going to fix it. That afternoon, Brad appeared at Moreland Holdings. He didn't come alone. He brought his father. The Moss patriarch had spent decades building a respectable reputation, and now he was personally asking for mercy. Alexander refused to meet them. So they waited. For 4 hours. I was working in the executive conference room when the secretary entered. Mr. Moss and his father are still downstairs. Alexander didn't even look up. Send them home. I closed my laptop. Wait. He looked at me. Let me handle this. You don't have to. I know. I stood. But I want to. Downstairs, Brad's father immediately bowed his head. Miss Bingley, I sincerely apologize for what happened. I looked at Brad. He was standing beside him, expressionless. Do you apologize too? His jaw tightened. Yes. Say it properly. His eyes met mine. I apologize. For? He remained silent. I smiled. For trying to destroy me? His father's face darkened. Brad. I apologize for trying to destroy you. Good. I picked up the document I'd brought with me. Then sign this. Brad frowned. What is it? A public statement. His father read it. His expression changed. It admitted that Hazel had fabricated the incident, that the Moss family had no evidence against me, and that every rumor concerning my past was false. Brad looked furious. You want me to humiliate my sister publicly? No. I smiled. I want you to correct the humiliation she caused me publicly. His father grabbed the pen. Sign it. Brad stared at him. Dad. Sign it. He did. I took the document. Then I added one more condition. There's something else. Brad looked at me. Your family owns 20% of Northbridge Energy. His expression changed. So? Moreland Holdings is acquiring it. You can't. I'm not asking. His father stared at me. You're going to buy our shares? At a fair price. I smiled. And after today, you'll have enough money to survive. Brad understood. I wasn't destroying them illegally. I was simply taking advantage of the weakness they had created themselves. Alexander had already been negotiating the acquisition. I had merely accelerated it. Brad looked at me with hatred. You planned this. No. I leaned closer. Your sister planned it. His face went pale. And I simply decided to benefit from her excellent planning. I walked away. Behind me, Brad's father whispered. Take the deal. Brad's fists clenched. He had no choice. By evening, the Moss family's most valuable subsidiary belonged to Moreland Holdings. The news sent their stock crashing. Hazel saw it on television. She stood frozen in the living room. Dad? Nobody answered. Her father was packing. Her mother was crying. Brad was sitting alone, staring at the floor. Hazel looked from one face to another. What happened? Her father didn't look at her. We're leaving Edinburgh. Hazel's face strained. What? You wanted a fresh start. He picked up his suitcase. Now you have one. She rushed after him. Where are we going? Anywhere you can stay out of trouble. Then he stopped. You wanted Carmen's life so badly. Hazel swallowed. Now look at what you've done to ours. The door slammed. Hazel stood alone in the mansion. For the first time, she had everything she thought she wanted. No Carmen. No competition. No one standing between her and the life she believed belonged to her. And she hated every second of it. Because Alexander still belonged to me. The next morning, the Moss family announced their withdrawal from Edinburgh society. Hazel's name disappeared from every charity gala. Her friends stopped answering her calls. And the rumors she'd once spread about me came back to her tenfold. Except this time, I didn't have to fight them. Everyone knew the truth. At noon, Alexander walked into my office carrying 2 cups of coffee. You've been working for 6 hours. So? You're coming with me. Where? He placed a cup in front of me. Shopping. I stared at him. Shopping? My mother says my fiancé needs a wardrobe. I nearly choked. Fiancé? He looked genuinely confused. You're surprised? We haven't even discussed marriage. We discussed it the night I met you. You assumed I'd agree? No. He leaned closer. I assumed I'd convince you. I laughed. You're unbelievably arrogant. And you're smiling. I realized he was right. Then his phone rang. He answered. His expression changed. What happened? I watched him listen. His eyes slowly moved toward me. Carmen. What? The Moss family has just declared bankruptcy. I blinked. That was fast. Alexander's mouth curved slightly. And Hazel is at our gate. I stood. What does she want? He looked toward the window. She says she's come to apologize. I sighed. Let her in. Alexander raised an eyebrow. You're sure? I smiled. Absolutely. Because I had a feeling Hazel hadn't come to apologize. She had come because she had finally realized something far more terrifying. She had lost. And people like Hazel never accepted defeat quietly. Hazel entered the Moreland estate looking nothing like the girl who had once strutted through the ballroom. Her designer dress was wrinkled. Her makeup was smeared. Her hair had clearly been done in a hurry. But the moment she saw Alexander, she straightened her back. Alexander. He didn't answer. She looked at me instead. Carmen, I came to apologize. I leaned against the staircase. For what? Her lips trembled. For everything. That isn't very specific. I was jealous. She lowered her head. I hated seeing you get everything I thought should have been mine. I almost laughed. Everything? She nodded. You had the Morelands. You had Alexander. You had everyone's respect. And you had the Moss family. Her expression tightened. I don't anymore. I know. She stared at me. Please. That word sounded strange coming from her. I don't have anywhere to go. I folded my arms. That sounds like a Moss family problem. Her eyes filled with tears. My father cut me off. Understandable. My friends abandoned me. Also understandable. Even Brad won't speak to me. That caught my attention. Not because I cared about Brad. Because I knew exactly how dangerous that was. Brad never ignored a problem. He buried it. And Hazel had just become the biggest problem in his life. Before I could respond, Alexander's phone rang. He answered. His expression changed. Where? He listened for several seconds. Then looked at Hazel. Your brother is at the Moss residence. Hazel went pale. What happened? Alexander ended the call. Brad is selling the mansion. Hazel stared at him. He can't. He can. My mother is still there. She left an hour ago. Hazel's face crumbled. They're abandoning me. I looked at her quietly. You abandoned yourself. She looked at me with sudden hatred. You're enjoying this. Yes. She froze. I didn't bother pretending otherwise. I spent my entire first life cleaning up the disasters you created. My voice remained calm. This time, I'm enjoying watching you deal with them yourself. Hazel's tears stopped. You remember everything. The room went still. I looked directly at her. She had said it. No taking it back. Alexander's eyes moved between us. Hazel's face went white. She had just exposed the one secret we'd both desperately tried to hide. I smiled. So do you. Alexander frowned. What are you two talking about? Hazel immediately shook her head. Nothing. I stepped toward her. You remember marrying Brad. Her breathing became shallow. You remember what happened to me. Stop. You remember killing me. Hazel stumbled backward. Alexander's expression hardened. What did she just say? Hazel began shaking. I didn't mean to. Alexander turned toward me. I held up my hand. Let her talk. Hazel covered her face. You had everything. Her voice cracked. You had the family, the company, the respect. Everyone loved you. And you killed me for it. I thought I could become you. She dropped her hands. I thought if I had your life, everything would work out. I laughed bitterly. You didn't want my life. I pointed toward the door. You wanted the results without becoming the person who earned them. Hazel started crying again. I regretted it. After I was dead? Yes. That's convenient. She sank onto the sofa. I was miserable too. I stared at her. You think that makes us equal? No. She shook her head. I know it doesn't. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Alexander walked over to me. He didn't ask whether I was telling the truth. He simply took my hand. Hazel watched him. Something broke inside her expression. You really love her? Alexander answered without hesitation. Yes. Hazel laughed through her tears. I spent 2 lives chasing you. And I spent 2 lives avoiding you, he replied. That silenced her. I looked at Alexander. You remember too? His eyes met mine. Yes. My heart stopped. You knew? I remembered the moment I saw you at the ball. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I wasn't sure you remembered. I stared at him. He smiled faintly. You looked terrified when I touched you. I looked away. That was because of Brad. I know. Alexander's expression darkened. In the first life, Brad wasn't simply cruel. He looked toward Hazel. He was the reason you died. Hazel lowered her head. Alexander continued. And I failed to protect you. I swallowed. You didn't know. I should have. His grip tightened around my hand. I won't make that mistake twice. Before I could respond, the front doors opened. Brad walked inside. His suit was rumpled. His face was bruised. And he was holding a suitcase. Hazel jumped up. Brad. He looked at her. You're coming with me. Where? Out of the country. I immediately stepped between them. No. Brad's eyes shifted toward me. You think I came here for forgiveness? I don't care why you came. He laughed. You really did change. I smiled. So did you. His smile disappeared. Carmen, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're going to destroy yourself trying to punish us. No. I stepped closer. You already destroyed yourselves. Alexander walked beside me. Brad's eyes landed on him. You remember too. Alexander didn't deny it. Brad's face twisted. So this is how it ends. No, I said. This is how it begins. I pulled a folder from the table. Brad's expression changed. What is that? The evidence of every company you stole from me in our first life. His face strained. You've been collecting it? I've been waiting. I handed the folder to Alexander. Every fraudulent contract. Every shell company. Every forged signature. Brad stared at me. You can't prove any of that. Alexander opened the folder. We can. Brad suddenly lunged toward me. Alexander caught him before he reached me. The security guards rushed in. Brad struggled violently. You ruined my life. I stared at him. No. I picked up my coffee. You ruined your own. The guards dragged him outside. Hazel remained frozen. I turned toward her. And you have one choice left. She whispered. What? Leave Edinburgh. She stared at me. That's it? Yes. You're letting me go? I don't forgive you. Her face fell. But I don't need to destroy you anymore. I walked past her. You've already done that yourself. 3 weeks later, the Moss family name had practically vanished from Edinburgh. Brad was facing criminal charges. Hazel had left the country. Their mansion had been sold. Their companies had been absorbed by Moreland Holdings. And the fortune Hazel had murdered me for in our first life was now helping build the future I had always wanted. As for me, I resigned from the position of strategic director. Alexander was furious. You're leaving? I have enough money now. That isn't an answer. I want to start my own company. He stared at me. Then smiled. Good. Good? I'll invest. I narrowed my eyes. You're not going to control it. I know. You won't interfere. I won't. You won't steal my employees. I make no promises. I laughed. You're impossible. He stepped closer. You're still marrying me. I blinked. That wasn't part of the business deal. It is now. That's not how contracts work. I'll write a better contract. I burst out laughing. He pulled me closer. You spent 2 lives trying to escape. I looked into his eyes. And now? He smiled. Now you don't have to. I rested my forehead against his. Then I think I'll stay. And for the first time across 2 lives, I wasn't staying because I was trapped. I was staying because I had chosen him.